what is the voice in the head? The voice in the head is this voice that's literally talking to us all the time. According to the Mayo Clinic, at least 50,000 thoughts happen in our head every day. And how do we know those thoughts are happening? We'll just stop thinking for a minute. And maybe your voice just said, wait, how long is he going to stop for? Wait, what's going on here? Right? It said something. Hey everybody, in today's video, we're going to talk about the voice in the head, what it is, where it came from, and how to get rid of it. And here's a hint, if you try to get rid of it, you can't. My name is Hudson. I'm a former venture capitalist turned coach, and now I coach some of the most notable names in Silicon Valley. So another way to think about the voice in your head is a simple little experiment. I just want you to say out loud, this is the voice in my head. This is the voice in my head, okay? And now you're just gonna think it. This is the voice in my head. What you thought, that was the voice in your head. And it's constantly talking to us. It's editing what we're doing and saying, no, you shouldn't have done it this way, you should do it that way. Maybe it's bullying you, saying you need to be perfect, you need to be on time, you need to be better, you need to get in shape, you need to stop eating so much, you need to stop smoking. So it's this constant onslaught, typically a very negative self-talk. The voice in the head can be separated into two parts. The repetitive part, the thing that it says all the time over and over and over again, like repeating your to-do list. And the other part is kind of an epiphany voice in the head, where the voice in the head just has this thought that it doesn't repeat over and over again, like, oh, wow, I could do that. Or, oh, that would be cool, I should get my wife flowers. Any of those thoughts, that's not what we're talking about in this video. This video is all about just the negative, reoccurring voice in your head. So now let's go on to number 2, where the voice in the head came from. So generally that negative reoccurring voice in the head came from our childhood and the way that somebody who was caring for us spoke. So if we had a very critical, very abusive parent, oftentimes we're gonna have a very critical, very abusive voice in the head. If we had a parent who was just nitpicky, then we're gonna have a nitpicky voice in the head. If we have a parent that was just always silently critical, we're gonna have like a more silent, critical voice in the head. So we're basically reinventing how we were parented in our head, and it's just perpetually going. And typically people sometimes think, oh, I really need this voice in my head, because if I didn't have it, I wouldn't do anything. I would just like sit on the couch, pop a beer, drink, who cares? That's what's gonna happen if I lose the voice in the head. But take a minute and really think about that for a second. Imagine you went to work and you hung out at work and your boss was right next to you going, yeah, type faster. Okay, yeah, make sure you do that. No, don't do that. Oh, you screwed up. Oh, you screwed up. That sucks. Why did you do that? Come on. Why aren't you working fast? You have to work faster or you're gonna lose your job. You think you'd be more productive? Right? It wouldn't work. But somehow we think that this voice in the head that we have is absolutely something that we need or everything's gonna fall apart. But that's not true at all. In fact, when the voice in our head has a better relationship with us, it actually gives us a lot more energy because we're not constantly preparing for the battle. We're not constantly shielding ourselves. We're not constantly in a state of adrenaline because we're beating ourselves up, and we can free our energy and be much, much more productive. All right, now let's go into the third part of it, how to get rid of the voice in your head. So remember at the beginning, I said if you try to get rid of it, you can't. If you try to get rid of it, you're resisting it. And the more you resist it, the more it persists. So having a battle with the voice in your head, it will always win. So having that fight, trying to get rid of it, trying to manage it, trying to control it, it will just act out even more. So any one of these techniques that I'm about to tell you, if you use them to actually get rid of the voice in your head, they will stop working. If you use them just like I'm experimenting, I'm exploring, I'm learning to have a better relationship with the voice in the head, then the voice in the head will start letting go and it'll just dissipate and slowly move into the background and disappear. The first one is to change the way that you react to it. So typically the voice in the head says something to you. Maybe it's like, you have to lose weight, and you typically go, yeah, I should lose weight, and then I'm gonna ignore you. That would be your reaction. Here's another reaction you can have to it. You should lose weight. Oh, I see that you're really scared, and I don't wanna react to your fear. Or it could say, hey, you should lose weight, and you could say, how about you speak to me with a little more respect? Whatever you want, just change the way that you react to the voice in your head, and notice that the voice in the head will start changing the way that it acts towards you. So here's number 2, welcoming it. So welcoming it is a really interesting one. So typically, the voice in the head, because it's acting abusive, because it's acting negatively, we just kind of want it to go away. So a different way to react to it is to deeply welcome it. And when I say welcome it, I could even say like fall in love with it. It doesn't mean that you do what it says. It doesn't mean that you react to it like it's your boss. It just means like you love it. The way you might love a little kid having a temper tantrum, or the way that you might love a dog who really, really wants to be pet, but it's like way out of control, so you're gonna make sure it doesn't jump on you, but you still pet it. It's the same way. So the voice in the head could be like, you have to work harder. And you could be like, oh yeah, you want me to work harder. I really hear you. It's like a deep welcoming of it. It's like opening your heart to it and letting it be welcomed. A lot of the things that the voice in the head does is out of fear. It's a deep fear. And the thing about fear is, the more you say, don't be scared, the more you're like, no, I don't like you because you're scared, the more the fear erupts in your system. Whereas if you can just give loving attention and allow the voice in the head to be seen, it can relax. It can just like, right, I'm being heard. The third approach to the voice in your head is to see that everything it says is a lie. It doesn't mean it's a complete lie, but it's not the complete truth, and therefore it's a lie. So it says, you have to work harder. Who says it? Like, how do you know that's the case? And so the idea is that everything the voice in your head says, you pay attention to it and you ask yourself, hey, is that 100% true? Is that for sure? Do we know that absolutely? And find the part of the voice in the head that may not be right. So think about it this way. You have a politician, you probably don't like them, and you watch that politician talk and you see a whole bunch of acolytes going, yeah, that's true, that's true, that's true. And you're like, man, that's not true. Yeah, so the politician is the voice in your head, and unless you're not acting like an acolyte, you're probably gonna buy into what the voice in the head says. And when you see that it's not true, it's easier to welcome it, it's easier to love it, it's easier to react to it differently because it doesn't have that same kind of control over you when you think that everything it says is the truth. So the last way that you can really work with the voice in your head is to see how much it cares. There's nothing it says to you that isn't an act of care. Granted, it says it horribly. It's like the worst micromanaging boss. If you can actually translate it so you can feel what the deep care is when it says, hey, lose weight, you can be like, oh, I really see that you care about my health. I appreciate that. Right? If you really can see the care, and you can even ask it to just be more caring in the way it expresses it to you, and then that changes the relationship, and pretty soon that repetitive negative self-talk just starts to dwindle and evaporate slowly but surely. What's really important is to see the voice in your head as a guide rather than an enemy. So if you see it as an enemy, you're going to be constantly in a fight, and like I said, you're never going to win that fight. But if you see it as a guide, it's going to point to exactly the places in you that you haven't healed, or that you don't accept, or that you don't love. So it's this amazing guide to really allow yourself to feel more fulfilled, more productive, and when you're getting things done, it's going to allow you to do it with a lot more joy and a lot more just, yeah. So if you like the video, just hit subscribe and tell us what else you want to hear about.